In a lab in Michigan, someone is moving a robotic arm with just their thoughts. In the Netherlands, concrete is fixing itself. And in Singapore, a battery runs on human sweat. These aren't sci-fi stories. They're real inventions changing our world right now. Here are 10 genius innovations that will make you question what's possible. Brain-reading exoskeleton. Scientists at the University of Michigan have created something extraordinary, an exoskeleton that can read your mind. Their breakthrough neural interface lets paralyzed patients control robotic limbs just by thinking about moving. The system uses tiny sensors implanted in the brain that pick up electrical signals when a person thinks about moving. These signals are decoded in real time and sent to the robotic limb. What makes this different from earlier versions is its incredible precision. Patients can perform complex tasks like picking up eggs without breaking them, holding cups, and even writing with a pen. The success rate has been remarkable. In clinical trials, patients achieved 90% accuracy in basic movement tasks within just weeks of training. More than 50 patients worldwide are already using this technology in their daily lives. One user, Sarah Thompson, went from being unable to feed herself to cooking entire meals independently. The real game changer is that it works reliably over long periods. Unlike previous systems that would lose accuracy over time, this one maintains its precision for years. Right now, 3 major medical centers across the US are using this technology, with plans to expand to 20 more locations by next year. Self-healing concrete. Dutch researchers at TU Delft have developed concrete that repairs its own cracks. Inside this special concrete are tiny capsules filled with bacteria and calcium lactate. When a crack forms, these capsules break open and the bacteria come to life. Here's the fascinating part. These bacteria act like tiny construction workers. When they wake up, they eat the calcium lactate and produce limestone. This limestone fills the cracks completely in just 3 to 4 weeks. The concrete doesn't just cover up damage. It becomes as strong as it was before the crack appeared. This isn't just a lab experiment. 6 bridges in the Netherlands are already using this self-heating concrete. The concrete has cut repair costs by 50% and doubled the lifespan of these structures. One bridge near Amsterdam hasn't needed any repairs in 5 years, even after heavy daily traffic. Major construction companies are now adding this technology to their newest projects. A high-rise in Sydney and a tunnel in Singapore are being built with this concrete right now. Each structure saves millions in maintenance costs while staying stronger and safer than regular concrete. Quantum levitation. Scientists have mastered quantum levitation, making objects float in midair without any tricks or hidden supports. The technology uses special materials called superconductors that, when cooled to extreme temperatures, create a powerful magnetic force that locks objects in space. Israeli scientists have shown this isn't just a cool lab trick. They created the first practical applications. A test track in their lab shows a disk floating perfectly still above a magnetic track, moving with 0 friction. The disk stays locked in position even when turned upside down. Japan's already putting this to work. Their newest maglev train prototype uses advanced quantum levitation to reach speeds of 374 miles per hour. This makes it the fastest train ever tested. The track between Tokyo and Nagoya is under construction, and when finished, it'll cut a 90-minute trip down to just 40 minutes. Several tech companies are now developing smaller versions. They're working on everything from frictionless bearings for factory machines to floating platforms that can move heavy cargo without wheels or engines. One company even demonstrated a floating display case that keeps valuable items suspended in midair. Artificial photosynthesis. Berkeley Lab scientists have created something plants have done for millions of years, but better. They built a device that takes sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide and turns them into pure, clean fuel. Their artificial leaf is a small solar device packed with special catalysts. When sunlight hits it, it splits water into hydrogen and oxygen. Then it takes CO2 from the air and combines it with hydrogen to make ethanol and other clean fuels. The best part: it does this 10 times more efficiently than natural plants. The numbers are impressive. 1 square meter of these devices can produce the same amount of fuel as 100 square meters of crops used for biofuel. The Berkeley team has shown their device can run for 100 continuous hours, producing fuel while cleaning CO2 from the atmosphere. Several major energy companies are scaling this up. A test facility in California is already using 100 of these devices to produce clean fuel. They're making enough fuel to power 10 cars daily while removing as much CO2 as 500 trees. The Department of Energy has called this one of the most promising clean energy breakthroughs of the decade. Biobatteries your sweat can now power your devices. Scientists at NTU Singapore have turned human sweat into a power source. They've created a soft, stretchy battery that runs on the natural salts and minerals in your sweat. This battery is as thin as a band-aid and sticks right to your skin. The more you sweat, the more power it generates. In tests, a person wearing it during a 30-minute workout produced enough energy to power a small smartwatch for 24 hours. The real breakthrough is in its design. Unlike regular batteries, these don't contain any toxic chemicals. They use special bacteria that feed on the compounds in sweat to create electricity. The battery keeps working as long as there's sweat on your skin. Major sports companies are already testing these in smart clothing. A running shirt with these batteries powers its own heart rate sensors and GPS tracker. Medical teams are using them in patches that power health monitors without needing recharging. The technology costs just 50 cents per battery to produce, making it cheaper than traditional batteries. Smart bandages. Tufts University researchers have created a bandage that doesn't just cover wounds, it actively monitors and helps them heal. This smart bandage knows exactly what's happening with your injury at all times. The bandage contains tiny sensors that track temperature, oxygen levels, and pH balance of the wound. When it detects a problem, like an infection starting, it releases precise amounts of antibiotics and healing medications right where they're needed. The sensors send all this information to your phone, letting doctors track healing without removing the bandage. Boston Medical Center tested these bandages on patients with diabetic ulcers. The results were remarkable. Wounds that typically took 12 weeks to heal were getting better in just 6 weeks. The infection rate dropped by 80% compared to regular bandages. These smart bandages are now in use at 3 major burn centers. They cost about $20 each, but they're saving thousands in complications and hospital visits. Veterans hospitals are starting to use them to treat combat injuries, with one doctor calling it the biggest advance in wound care in the last 50 years. Holographic storage crystal. Southampton University scientists have created a storage device that sounds impossible. A small glass disc that can store 500 terabytes of data. That's enough space to hold the entire Library of Congress 50 times over. They call it 5D storage because it uses 5 different dimensions of light to store information in a crystal disk. The crystal is just the size of a quarter, but it's virtually indestructible. It can survive temperatures of 1000 degrees Celsius and lasts for over 13 billion years without losing any data. One disk can hold more information than 62,500 smartphones combined. NASA has already ordered these crystals to store humanity's most important data. Microsoft is testing them in their data centers, where one crystal could replace hundreds of hard drives. The technology is entering its final testing phase. The first commercial versions will hit the market soon, with major tech companies already placing orders. A single disk will cost around $700, but it can store more data than a room full of regular hard drives. Liquid metal robots. Chinese scientists at Tsinghua University have created something that changes everything we know about robots. Tiny drops of liquid metal that can move, change shape, and squeeze through the smallest spaces. This liquid metal is made from gallium and indium, metals that stay liquid at room temperature. When hit with a small electrical charge, these drops can move on their own, split apart, and come back together. They can even squeeze through gaps smaller than a pencil tip and reform on the other side. Doctors are already testing these in medical procedures. The liquid metal can move through blood vessels to deliver medicine exactly where it's needed. In trials, it successfully reached hard-to-treat tumors that regular treatments couldn't touch. The most exciting part: these liquid metal drops can carry 10 times more medicine than current methods. In cancer treatment trials, they deliver drugs with 90% more accuracy than traditional methods. The technology is now in final testing at 3 major hospitals, with doctors calling it a potential game changer in treating complex diseases. Air-powered engines. Indian car manufacturer Tata Motors and MDI have developed engines that run on nothing but compressed air. Their air-powered engine uses high-pressure air tanks to drive pistons, creating power without a single drop of fuel. These engines are completely clean. The only thing coming out of the exhaust is cold air. One tank of compressed air costs just $2 to fill and can power a car for 120 miles in city driving. The best part? You can refill it in just 3 minutes at special air stations. Tata's AirPod is already on roads in several Indian cities. These small urban vehicles reach speeds of 50 miles per hour and carry 3 passengers. French postal services are using air-powered delivery vans, cutting their fuel costs by 80%. Luxembourg's city buses are now testing these engines. Their fleet of 50 air-powered buses has covered over 100,000 miles without using any fuel. The technology is so successful that major European cities are ordering hundreds of these vehicles for their public transport systems. Transparent solar panels. Michigan State University has transformed ordinary windows into power generators. They created completely clear solar panels that look like regular glass but harvest energy from sunlight. These panels use tiny organic molecules that catch invisible light waves and turn them into electricity. The visible light passes right through, making them totally see-through. 1 square foot of this glass can power 3 smartphones daily, while staying as clear as your home windows. The technology is already at work. A shopping mall in California replaced its windows with these panels, now generating enough power to run its entire lighting system. An office building in Singapore covered in these panels makes 40% of its own electricity. Major glass manufacturers are racing to include this in their production. The cost is just 30% more than regular windows, but the panels pay for themselves in energy savings within 2 years. Experts predict that by converting just 10% of the world's existing windows, we could meet 40% of global energy needs. The future is here. From windows that power cities to concrete that heals itself, these inventions aren't just changing industries, they're reshaping what we thought was possible. Each breakthrough shows us that the future we dreamed about is already becoming our present. While you're reading about sci-fi, these technologies are quietly working in hospitals, on roads, and maybe even in the building you're in right now. They're making our world cleaner, safer, and more incredible than ever before. If you found these innovations as fascinating as millions of others have, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to stay updated on more groundbreaking discoveries that are changing our world. See you in the next video, where we'll explore even more amazing innovations that most people don't know about yet.